Oh, hey, good morning. How you guys doing? It is April 28th. This is the Neuro Affirming Conversation Hour for outreach and support, and I welcome you all back to Nachos. I am really glad that you are here. Today is April 28th, and we are honoring Global Pay It Forward Day. Now, this is a day devoted to the kind of magic that doesn't require wands or wizardry, just kindness, just being human in the most compassionate way possible. This global movement began in Australia in 2007, inspired by Catherine Ryan Hyde's novel Pay It Forward. It's now celebrated in over 80 countries, inviting people to do something kind for someone else, no strings attached, and trust that it'll ripple forward. And in the spirit of ripples and rings of light in dark places, I'm reminded of my favorite quote. We all know it's from Gandalf in The Hobbit. I have found it is the small everyday deeds of ordinary folk that keep the darkness at bay. Simple acts of kindness and love. At Nachos, we believe that kindness is not a performance. It's a practice, a sensory space, a shared snack, a moment of silence held with a friend who doesn't have the words right now. These are grand gestures, but they are deeply, deeply powerful. So whether you're buying coffee for a stranger, offering a kind word, or simply letting someone merge into traffic with a wave and a smile, you're part of something bigger today. You're reminding someone, maybe even yourself, that goodness is still alive. Goodness is still alive. Today, if you're moved to act, go for it. Use Pay It Forward Day if you want to share it. Use that hashtag, or keep it quiet and keep it close to your chest. It is your decision. Just remember, you don't have to be famous or flawless to help the world. You just need to be here to help the world feel a little bit more human. You just have to show up. That's enough. Just show up. So far, we've, again, been talking about these ideas of gentle acts of kindness all throughout Nachos, and we've been talking about the ideas of ripples. But what if I told you that the very act of passing knowledge forward, of teaching someone a new skill or sharing an idea, is one of the oldest and most powerful forms of paying it forward? New research out of Arizona State, published in Science Advances, explores the concept of cumulative culture. The idea that over hundreds of thousands of years, early humans didn't just create tools, they built upon each other's ideas. They experimented, they refined, and crucially, they taught those improvements to others. And it's not just a one-off moment. Around 600,000 years ago, our ancestors started to develop interestingly sophisticated tools. But more importantly, they developed ways of sharing knowledge across individuals and generations. It wasn't instinct, it was intentional. And honestly, it's what allowed our species to flourish. We often think of evolution as a series of physical changes, bigger brains, upright posture, opposable thumbs. But culture, especially shared culture, is one of the most defining characteristics of being human. We aren't just a species that survives. We are a species that teaches, uplifts, and passes it forward. This research showed clothes, even sunscreen, as evolutionary inventions. So this matters to us here at Nachos, because if we trace that thread from the ancient hand axes to modern life, we see that the way we learn from each other is still evolving, and it doesn't always look the same. Neurodivergent people may process information differently through visual thinking, rhythmic learning, scripting, pattern detection, or hyperfocus. And often that means we share knowledge in ways that challenge traditional educational models. But just like our ancestors, our contributions or our ways of seeing, solving, or expressing expand the collective tool set of humanity. When a late diagnosed autistic adult shares what masking feels like and someone else suddenly feels seen, that's cumulative culture. When someone creates a STEM-friendly study method and passes it on to their peer group, that's cumulative culture. When you show someone how you navigated a world that wasn't built for you and they make space for others to do the same, well, that's absolutely paying it forward with cumulative culture. So today on Global Pay It Forward Day, let's widen our definition of what it means to be kind. Sure, buy the coffee, hold the door, send the thinking of you text, but also share what you have learned with others. Tell someone a trick that made the week easier for you. Pass on your accommodations list, your favorite fidget. Explain your boundaries. Offer a perspective the world might not hear anywhere else. Because that's how culture survives, not through domination, not through loudness, but through one person saying to another, here's what helped me. I hope it helps you too. Small acts. Our ancestors did it with flint and fire. We can do it with stories and support and shared self-advocacy. Same energy, same kindness, still keeping the darkness at bay, one act of love at a time. Now, we explored how these ancient ancestors paid it forward through cumulative culture, passing knowledge, skills, and care across a generation. But let's zoom in from that wide angle view of time to something much more immediate. How we experience the world right now, moment to moment, thought to thought. And here's where things get beautifully layered. New research from Columbia University shows that what we think, our current mental focus, goals, and context, not only influences our decision, it actually shapes what we see. Yes, literally. Our brains interpret visual information based not just on what's out there, but on what's in here. What we're focused on, feeling, or trying to figure out at that moment plays heavily on how we see the world, not see the world. So that bag of carrots in the fridge, if you're meal prepping, you might see dinner. If you're late to a party, you see a quick appetizer. And if you're masking fatigue and just trying to survive the day, you might not see those carrots at all. And this study shows us that perception isn't passive, it's personal. The visual part of our brain, it doesn't just record what's in front of us like a camera. It adjusts and interprets based upon our mental state. Our brain is actively collaborating with our intentions. Now let that sink in. Your brain is collaborating with your intentions. So if you put out positive intentions, if you put out negative intentions, what is the lens that you put over the camera? This matters so much, especially for those of us who are neurodivergent and for the idea of neurodiversity in general, because it affirms what many of us already know in our bones. We don't always perceive things the way others do. We might notice patterns others miss, focus on details others overlook, or struggle to tune in to what's expected in a space where our brain is responding to sensory overload, internal scripts, or fatigue. This research flat out proves it. Our brains are not broken. They're just interpreting. They're doing what they're intended to do. And when we're supported through micro accommodations, through rest, through understanding, those interpretations become insight. They become creativity. They can even become brilliance. So just as our ancestors refined tools by building on each other's innovations, we need to refine understanding when we make space for diverse perception. Your perspective is shaped by your thoughts, your needs, and your neurotype, and that's not a flaw. That is your lens. That is your insight. That is your way of seeing, your way of sharing. And without you, others might miss it. So this week, be kind to yourself when your perception doesn't match someone else's. Be curious and also be gentle. And maybe pay it forward by helping someone else understand how you see things. Because what you're seeing, what you know, and how you care, it all adds to the culture we are co-creating here. The cumulative culture of NACHOS, of Humanities 101, of neuroaffirmation, because we believe that every mind is a map and that every map deserves to be read with respect. Period. Now let's explore another facet of our human experience, right? My favorite, music, our connection to music. A recent study by the Max Planck Institute for Psycholinguistics reveals that our enjoyment of music is not solely a product of culture or personal experience. It has a genetic component. By analyzing data from over 9,000 twins, researchers found that approximately 54% of the variability in music enjoyment could be attributed to genetic differences. Interestingly, these genetic factors are partly distinct from these influencing general reward sensitivity or musical ability. So what this discovery kind of underscores is an idea that our responses to music, whether it's the urge to dance, the emotional resonance of a melody, the joy of communal singing, those are deeply rooted in biology. It's a testament to the intricate ways in which our genes and environment interact to shape our experiences. For those of us who identify as neurodivergent, this research offers a validating perspective. It suggests that our unique relationship with music, be it heightened sensitivity, unconventional or repetitive preferences, or distinct emotional responses, are not anomalies. They're variations within the broad spectrum of natural human experience. Understanding that our musical inclinations may be influenced by our genetic makeup encourages a more compassionate view of ourselves and of others. It invites us to celebrate the diverse ways in which we connect with music, free from judgment or needs to conform to societal norms. And I love connecting to music. Reflecting on our earlier discussions about cultural transmission and perception, this study adds another layer to our understanding of human interconnectedness. Because just as our ancestors shared knowledge and skills to build communities, music serves as a universal language, and it even transcends boundaries, and it fosters social bonds. Recognizing the genetic basis of music's enjoyment doesn't diminish the role of culture. Instead, it highlights the harmonious interplay between our biological predispositions and the cultural context in which we live. It's a reminder that our human shared experiences are both deeply personal and profoundly collective. So as we continue to explore this rich tapestry of human experience, let's embrace the idea that our preferences, perceptions, and passions are shaped by a complex interplay of genetics and environment. Whether it's the music that moves us, the ways we perceive the world, or the knowledge we pass down through the generations, each element contributes to the beautiful symphony of our shared humanity. At NACHOS, we celebrate this diversity and encourage you to honor your unique experiences. Remember, every note in the symphony matters, including yours. So We explored, again, something as joyful and as universal as music and how it might be rooted in our genes, not just culture. But music doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's shaped by the context we hear in it, our families, our communities, and our environments. And that leads us to a deeper question. How much of who we become is shaped by the environments we grow up in? A recent study from the University of California, Irvine, offers profound insights into this question, especially for those of us reflecting on our own early experiences and how they may have shaped our neurodevelopment and how we deal with the world now. This new research shows that more than half of the world's children are affected by early life adversity. And that adversity doesn't just affect behavior or emotions, it actually shapes the architecture of the developing brain. While we've known long ago that things like abuse, poverty, or neglect have an impact, even though some people still won't admit it, the evidence has been there. This review highlights a less obvious but equally powerful influence: unpredictability. I heard 100 autistic people shudder. Inconsistent caregiving, disorganized routines, chaotic sensory environments, these don't just stress children out. They literally alter how brains develop, how neurons fire, and how the brain learns to interpret the larger world. So the takeaway? Well, our brains need reliable patterns to grow with confidence and clarity. And for many of us in the neurodivergent world, this resonates deeply. Predictability isn't just about controlling every variable. It's about knowing that your needs will be met with consistency and care. When our environments are chaotic, it becomes harder to regulate, harder to trust, harder to grow. You cannot get out of your parasympathetic nervous system. And when those patterns form in early childhood, they often echo into adulthood. The neural pathways get burned in. And this affects how we process change, how we handle relationships, even how we experience stress. This is why routine, sensory awareness, and emotional attunement matters so much in neuroaffirming spaces. They're not luxuries. They are foundational. And they're what so many of us are still trying to rebuild after early experiences that lacked them. And yet there's hope, because just as the brain can be shaped by adversity, it can all be reshaped by stability, trust, and care. When we create spaces, classrooms, homes, and community circles where safety and predictability are a default, we begin to rewire what once was wounded. Every consistent boundary, every sensory-friendly accommodation, every moment of quiet presence is a form of repair. And it takes time. It takes time and patience and effort. At NACHOS, we believe that part of paying it forward is offering the kind of stability we may not have received ourselves. We can be the rhythm that others can grow around every Monday. We can be the kindness that restores what unpredictability once fractured. You are enough. And as we close today, I want you to take a moment to reflect. What kind of environments am I creating for myself? What kind of environments am I creating for others? What rhythms, what routines, or what rituals help me feel safe and seen? What might need softening or stabilizing or reimagining? So just like music, the shape of our lives is influenced by what surrounds us. So let's keep building cultures that sing with safety, hum with hope, and resonate with care. Because healing doesn't just happen in isolation, it happens in harmony. So if no one's told you this yet today, you are doing a freaking incredible job surviving things that were not designed for your mind. For many neurodivergent and marginalized adults, the echoes of early life unpredictability linger. Maybe it was the home that didn't feel emotionally safe, the school that misunderstood your silence or your spark, a world that told you again and again that your way of being was too much, not enough, wrong. And now you're here, still trying, still slugging away, still growing, still reaching for the rest and the connection and the meaning that you deserve. That, in and of itself, is extraordinary. It truly is. Because when we talk about self-care in this space, we're not talking about bubble baths and scented candles. Though, I mean, I love to rock a bubble bath with some scented candles. We're talking about the kind of care that whispers to your nervous system, you're safe now. You can breathe. Take a break. It's giving yourself a routine that feels nourishing. It's turning down the volume on guilt when you need to rest. It's recognizing that your brain might need more time to recovery, and that's not laziness. That's physiology. It's letting yourself be seen without the armor that you've learned to wear, so burdenous just to survive. And it's okay if that care still feels unfamiliar. Most of us were taught to prioritize productivity over presence. But every time you choose to care for yourself with intention, you're not being indulgent. You're being brave. One of the hardest parts of healing is forgiving yourself for how you coped when you didn't have the words, when you didn't have the tools, and when you didn't have the support. But the truth is, the version of you who masked, who froze, who fawned, who shut down, that version of you was protecting you. That version of you got you here. So now that you are here, you can begin the quiet work of thankfulness for how you endured. You can tell yourself, thank you for helping me get here. And then you forgive for what you didn't know in the time. You got to let it go. And then gently, you give permission for new things to bloom. Healing isn't linear. It's layered, like stems that simmer slowly. Like a stew that simmers slowly. It becomes richer over time. Some days will feel like progress and others will feel like pause. But grace is the thread that carries us through it all. So at NACHOS, we believe in the power of just being here. You don't have to earn your healing. You don't have to perform your pain. You don't have to fix everything to deserve peace. You are already worthy. You're already healing. And you are so deeply, wonderfully enough. Before I close, I'd like to hear from you. If you feel comfortable, take a moment to post a reflective question in the chat, something you're sitting on after today's episode, or maybe a question for yourself, for your community, or anyone walking a similar path. There's no pressure to have answers. I simply believe that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do to ourselves or for ourselves is to give ourselves space to wonder and to wander and to ask questions without the burden of answer. So before we go away, I want you guys to take a deep breath with me. I need this after talking to you. In, out. You're not behind. You are not broken. You are not too much or not enough. You're exactly where you need to be, becoming exactly who you're meant to become. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to move slowly. You're allowed to rest. You are more than your productivity, and you're more than your past. You are more than what others misunderstood about you. You're a person of worth. You're a person of value. You're already loved. In a world that tries to commodify your body, your mind, and your labor, rest is revolution. Self-care is an act of revolt. And you, just as you are enough. So wherever today takes you, whether you're repairing, rebuilding, or simply being, remember, your existence is resistance. Your softness is strength. And your presence here matters. As always, from me, from Humanities 101 and everybody here at NACHOS, be gentle with yourself, be curious with others, and keep going. One breath, one step, one fierce, beautiful act of being at a time, guys. Just keep going.